Hello everybody, and welcome to the second season, second episode of The Screw with Felicia Rose and...
Hey, love.
Yeah, that's right. This week we have a special Pride edition. Obviously it's Pride Month, so we wanted to feature
some queer voices.
Queer voices of New York City that maybe don't have the chance to talk about sex in like an open forum, right? Yeah, so we have a bunch of guests on for you guys this week, which is going to be great. Obviously, we have our segments, which include...
This week, let's see. I love that this was written out for me.
Yeah,
now
of course.
I feel like,
our segments this week include...
So, coming up, we have thought topics for you. Then followed by This Week in Wrestling, the People's Choice, and a special bonus segment.
Yeah, so tonight we're joined by 3 special guests. All of them are members of the queer community here in New York City, and they're here to discuss all sorts of awesome topics with us, as well as, you know, promote their brands and let us know a little bit about themselves. So I just want to welcome all of you. Thank you guys for being on.
Thank you.
Guys, is that right?
Yeah,
are we
very
good?
happy.
Yeah? All
Okay.
good with our pronouns? He? Everybody a he?
I'm fine.
All right, you can call me whatever the fuck you want. So I'm gonna read this off because I'm a little drunk tonight. So I apologize, guys, if I feel a little scripted for this next 37 seconds. So tonight we're joined by 3 special guests and members of the queer community. Let me introduce you guys now. Our first guest is a New York City stylist, activist, and the outspoken co-host of the Queen Nerds, PW Mothership, and Capital Wrestling podcast, the fabulous fashionista of NYC, Darnell Mitchell.
That's me.
I feel like we need
Yay.
to apply.
Thank you guys.
Who could be found at DNLicious online. Make sure you follow him because he says some shit. And I be following, I didn't even know Darnell before he'd be saying some shit online and somebody retweeted it. I was like, oh, that's good. Yeah. All right, so for our next guest, we have, he is a first-generation Mexican-American born and raised in the Bronx, a fisting enthusiast, and Bruce's protege,
That's me.
Red Panda.
Red Panda
Yay!
here.
Fisting protege, by the way, if you guys are interested, we will be talking about fisting later on in one of our segments, so definitely stick around for that.
Yay!
It's Pride Edition, fisting, yay! And for our final guest, he's a first-generation Ecuadorian American, Bronx native, and he's the co-founder of the RBFF, which we'll explain to us later, which is a learning sexual expression outlet, Bruce Wayne.
Woo!
Which by the name is a ridiculous name. By the way, is a ridiculous name. But I love it anyway. So welcome to the podcast, guys. Thank you guys for being on. Thank you.
I'm so excited. I was like, oh, I get to be on the show too.
I'm practicing for tomorrow night. Yeah. All right, so let's just get it started. So the first segment that we have tonight is Thought Topic, which is a regular segment we have in our show where we discuss something that's going on in current events, whether it be in the sex community sounds funny, or the LGBTQ community, or wherever. So we have a couple tonight that we want to discuss.
Yeah.
The first thing was a topic that Aaron brought up earlier, and I think it's something that we should definitely go into. So, Aaron. I mean, A-Love. Sorry.
Whatever.
Fuck this shit up all
We
the
all
time.
go by so many.
You're all going by your real names tonight.
No, that's great. So, I mean, this year especially, the idea of Pride is a really exciting thing, and I thought we could talk about Pride as an act of resistance, or Pride as resistance.
What do you mean by that, though? Pride as resistance as opposed to Pride as what?
So, I mean, I think, many people in the queer community will agree. We've had some, sweet years where, people kind of thought we were settling into, more accepting times. I'll be mostly bougie white men, but, other people...
White picket fence gang.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but, there's always been a fight, and, especially now with everything that's going down politically, in the world with Voldemort and such.
That which we do not name.
You know, I think it's important for us to talk about, like, you know, Pride's roots on some level, but, like, I'm open to talk about this idea of, again, like, you know, doubling down on our queer political activism in this day and age, you know?
So you're saying instead of using Pride as just a time to celebrate, it's also a time to say, hey, there's still stuff we need to work on.
Absolutely.
Here's the stuff we need to work on. Let's bring it to your attention while we do celebrate the triumphs we've overcome, right? Like,
drink,
we're
like,
so much
orgy,
further, right? We
then, like,
have gay marriage in everywhere. Everywhere.
Everywhere.
You know, it's like a thing that we like. Meanwhile, it's 8-9 years ago, we were marching on Washington for that.
But
so it's definitely different. But at the same time, do we still have a big fight to overcome? Absolutely. And that's when I think Pride is a good time to reiterate to people and give them a positive message, not just like a negative, hey, we have things to fight, but also like, hey, we've also overcome this amount of XYZ, and let's celebrate that, but also talk about how far we need to go.
Absolutely. And I mean, one of the things that struck me this year why I wanted to have this conversation with you guys is, like, last year there was a lot of heat and conversation and discussion about, like, police at Pride parades, marching in Pride parades, and, like, how, you know, the community was very divided, and it ended up being divided, you know, much to be expected along class lines a little bit, where, like, people who were like, no, we're good, we're there, police are queer community people too, and, like, they should be part of our parades, you know? So that debate was on.
Police make up a part of our Pride, our queer community for sure. I mean, I know a handful of lesbians that are police officers.
Sure, but nobody's talking about individuals in this instance. We're talking about the police as an institution being represented in Pride parades, and historically they have not done very well with the queer community and, like, people of color. So,
well, what do you think that they can do to change that? Like, what's the right step to, like, bridge that gap? Because I feel like, you know, it's not a lost cause. Let's bridge it if we can. Why not?
To bridge the gap between the police and the queer community?
For as far as protesting and or like a Pride event, for example.
I think talking about it. We settle so much. We settle for table scraps when we should have the whole fucking meal. And there's so many instances of, you know, especially I don't go to Pride. It's just not for me. You know, anyone that wants to go, by all means, go.
Is it because you hate the rainbow flag?
I don't mind it. I don't particularly care for
an old photo of me with, like, rainbow stuff on. I was like, oh my god, Darnell is totally gonna be
it's
so
not
mad
the worst. Like, my Sim character has a rainbow flag in his house, but that's not in here nor there.
But I get it, like, being, like, over the top.
Yeah, I just think there's so many instances of where there is, people forget that marginalized groups also have prejudice within them. And for us to get better, for Pride to mean something a little bit more, for me, we've got to talk about the prejudice that we have within the LGBT plus. Try saying that 3 times fast. LGBT plus community. We kind of, for lack of a better word, whitewash things, and, you know, we've got to talk about the fact that the reason why we have these civil rights is because of a black trans drag queen.
Absolutely.
You know, like, who threw a rock at a police officer.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think that a lot of people don't know the roots, and it's like in any, I don't want to say subculture because subculture isn't obviously proper for this term, but, like, in any division of human beings, there is a person that started it that you have to pay homage to, and whether or not, like, whether it's punk music or frickin', you know, whatever it is, you have to pay homage to, you know, Bad Brains or Black Flag.
Please say her name.
I'm not that good. I really don't know. But that's another thing, actually. Well, I mean, it coincides, like, I even realized, like, this past year, I realized, you know, I've been out for 17 years now. But I realized I didn't know much of my history.
Right.
Like, I saw bits of, like, Paris is Burning a couple of times when I was younger. And I was like,
wonderful.
Holy shit, I need to actually take the time. I was like, can I curse? But I was like, they're smoking blunts. So it's fine.
You can say anything you want on this. Absolutely anything.
So I, like, realized I needed to be better with my own history.
Right. Yeah.
Like, because I can't talk about things unless I educate myself.
Absolutely.
So I'm trying to get better at that and, like, doing my own history
and paying homage and doing
paying homage. And like I think everyone needs to do that. And I think a lot of the queer community, like there's so many things I didn't even realize that I say that's from Paris is Burning.
Oh hell yeah!
Like all of our vernacular is from that. Everyone's vernacular from it.
I actually grew up in that era, so
oh really?
All of that was. I recognized it when I started hanging out, I guess, in the West Village area when I was 18, 19. So I did see a lot of that. I did hang out in the streets. I did go to lots of balls, the original balls back then. But just to go back, what you were saying.
We have an OG member.
We have an OG member.
I'm sorry. I didn't want, we got to celebrate that.
Okay. We got to celebrate.
We have all generations at this table, and that's something to celebrate.
I think we all have to recognize that there's still a lot of work that we have to do because, again, we've come far and we've made progress, but we're not there yet. There's still a lot more we have to do.
What's an example of we're not there yet? Give us an example for the people out there that don't know.
So, you were saying,
okay. Interrupt,
Can I give that, like, one of the, I don't know if I'm the youngest here, I'm 22. So.
Yes, you are. Here.
One of the nicest things that I've gotten to, a little baby. But one of the things I really enjoyed was, like, that we're supposed, as a homosexual member of our LGBT community, you always passively just accept that you have this message that you're trying to progress forward and move on. But what we fail to do, even though we like to encompass that message, is really find out where it even came from to begin with. And that's like going back to its roots. So even though we're progressively moving towards that direction, we all want to, we need to sometimes delve into like little pieces of our history to really remember the motivation as to why we're doing this.
But I feel like people your age range wouldn't necessarily think of that. Whereas people in your age range, we would call you out immediately if you didn't know your history.
Correct.
So I feel like it needs to be both-sided. Everybody needs to know their history. Where did this come from? Who fought for our civil rights? Who is on the front lines of making sure that we, as a gay, bisexual, gay, lesbian, member of society, trans, queer, questioning, anybody, member of society, we are now on that level of acceptance where maybe 45% of America is not accepting us, but there's a huge portion that is.
Yeah.
Which before it was all of like 17 goddamn.
And I even think the people who are not accepting us are really hating us, and that's where I think we need to.
Well, I mean, half of the time I feel like some of those people, unfortunately, they fester some sort of inward
personal,
some sort
demons
of personal
inside.
strife, some sort of, whether it's they feel like they're on the lines themselves of a queer questioning situation, and or they are, actually accepting and they're shocked by it. So like the immediate thing to do is the exact opposite, which is to totally negate it as a thing that could be possible.
Correct. Can I connect two things? So you talked about history, it was very important, and you talked about the whitewashing of queer history. These things are very connected in an important way. There was a discussion that went on recently amongst a bunch of like straight people that like were claiming beyond straight white people, white Americans, like that beyond a doubt, like it was like essentially white queer men who had like started the movements. And like, obviously the queer community is like, no, honey, I'm sorry. But like, it's amazing, like, how the narrative gets like kind of stolen by whoever like controls the narrative, right? Who is the power? The power is people with money. The power is usually queer men with money, let's be honest. Men
with white picket fences.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a lot of culture that ends up intersecting because, I personally sometimes I like to get out of my own shoes and step into like a size 3 Louis Vuitton from time to time. And be like,
me too.
And just be like, hey, what was it like to be this white gay guy who's growing up in all this money and all this privilege, but you realize that they're already encompassing a system in which they're already oppressing him as it is. And he takes that kind of hate and perpetuates it on his own people as well. And that's something that we definitely need to take in consideration when we immediately just want to start pointing fingers and say, hey, we've all seemed to perpetually have suffered similar oppressive behaviors. It's just that it's coming across differently culturally. My culture is very different from his Ecuadorian culture, and obviously from your Caucasian culture or your black culture.
Do you find your culture's accepting? Yes.
No.
No.
In my culture, absolutely.
I just want a yes or no, and then we'll go into it.
For me, it's a double-edged sword because, like, the Trump administration, Mexico has had it, except we've had a hot, younger Mexican guy do it.
For me, as a bisexual, I feel like no matter where I am on the spectrum or where I am in discussing, I'm not accepted until I really, truly explain myself. What does bisexuality mean? You know? What about you?
Wait, what was the question?
Do you feel that you're accepted because of your background and upbringing? Or did I just lie?
No, you got it.
No, I think
I kind of forgot myself.
Have another drink.
I mean, obviously, like, one can't like say that without addressing on some level like white privilege. Obviously, the way I choose to present myself, like, is sometimes problematic in terms of like not fitting like status quo kind of stuff, like crosshair.
So you're not a white picket fence gay,
right?
And because of where you come from, it's not accepted.
Yeah, but like
you're
on
a
the
hippie gay
on the
or
spectrum,
whatever.
like obviously, like, you know, most of the time, like we used to talk about passing as like an important thing in queer culture. Like if you could like pass, like you were like,
Which is
Yeah,
not-
you can
not-
pass for
Not to interrupt anybody, but because I can pass, obviously. Lately, I've been dressing the way I dressed in 5th and 6th grade, which is when I felt like the closest to actually my true gender / sexual identity, which was a boy. But like when I get all dolled up, I can absolutely pass. So I can pass as anything.
Right.
Like I could pass as a lipstick lesbian. I could pass as a bisexual whoever. I could pass as a straight blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I totally understand the whole passing thing
Yeah.
because I've been able to embrace it, and it's not fair that I can embrace it and others can't. You know.
It's super
How about you, Darnell?
It's kind of weird. My brother's gay as well. So I come from I was born in the
say that's
South.
hot, but
We're in the South.
I was born in Philadelphia, but I was raised in Norfolk, Virginia.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and everyone
I
in
like
my
how he said
family
Norfolk.
is very, it's Norfolk.
Norfolk.
Everyone in my family
yeah.
is very religious. I am not religious, but it was an issue growing up, but then I kind of got over it when I was 17 because
You got over it, or your family got over it?
I got over it because I don't talk to my family.
okay.
And it's a personal choice. Like my dad, I love my dad. My dad's great. It's just I've had a hard time when I was younger dealing with family, and I moved here when I was 20. So like, I very, very quickly became a bitch. There's no other way to put it. Where I just like I don't have time for you.
Like
I
as
don't
a
have time for you.
defense, or
Yeah, well, it's, like my mom, I haven't talked to my mom in a long time, but my mom, like, I haven't seen her since I was 18. And that was like a choice between her and I. So it's just sort of like, it's like, hey, if I have that relationship with her, it's like, I don't have time for you, Bradley, who I don't fucking know. Like,
right. I haven't talked to my father since I was 20 either, but my stepfather, oh my god, he's amazing.
He's pretty awesome.
I mean, he would be so bummed if he knew I mentioned him on this because he's so conservative. It's ridiculous. But for a conservative man to then like accept the fact that like my girlfriend was on her way over and my boyfriend was on his way over in 3 days.
My
You
dad
gotta
was
give
pretty
him
good about
credit.
it.
Meanwhile, my mom was like, "Girl, what size heels do you wear? Let me put that shit on." I was like, "All right, mom, calm the goddamn fuck down. You're adorable."
Did you ever hook up in your parents' house?
Well, I lived with my mom because my dad and my mom got divorced.
You don't have to answer that.
I don't give a fuck.
Okay.
Wait, no, you do have to answer. Hold on.
No, I like fucked a couple of guys in my mom's apartment when we lived together. Like when I was like 19.
Nice.
But she did it. She was at work.
Oh, okay.
So I made sure
It was safe.
she was gone. But she had the most difficulty with it because she would still say, well, one day you might meet a nice little lady.
Well, she wanted grandbabies, boo boo.
Well, I could have given her like
Right,
love kids.
adopted
I used to love
or
kids.
whatever,
Now I hate
surrogate
them.
or whatever. Oh,
But
I understand.
they're really cute from like afar.
Yeah.
So cute from afar.
Yeah.
But, like,
If I could do like part-time children, I would.
oh, I would
Part-time
love
children?
to.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like giving them back is.
Is there an
always
app for
nice.
that?
Yeah.
So speaking,
Children sharing app.
I don't.
That would be so helpful. Working people would love that.
We're
Who
gonna get
knows?
shut down. All right. So the next topic that we want to discuss is this week in wrestling, which obviously some of us at the table do not have that much experience with. However,
I remember old school wrestling.
feel free to chime in with
Back in the day.
anecdote and/or question. However, Darnell, this is specifically for you, I feel like.
I know.
So, a couple things I want to bring up tonight, and I want your honest opinion. No holds barred, please be honest. The first thing I want to talk about is Sunny Kiss, aka Exolicious, debut in Lucha Underground. Holy shit. Let's just talk about the fact that we have a queer representing male wrestler who's sexy as goddamn F.
He is.
Right?
His ass is just like.
Oh my lord.
Oh my god, this wrestler I know.
If you
know
guys
him?
do not know.
I watched his
don't know.
Oh my
wrestling
god.
videos,
Sunny
or his
Kiss
workout
and or
videos when he's so
Exolicious,
hot.
which
Yeah.
is his Lucha Underground name.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to say congratulations, Sunny Kiss, aka Exolicious, on your Lucha Underground debut.
Woo!
And also your win, your debut, and you won. You did a great job. It was a great match. You had amazing moves. We got to see the splits and the back bends and all the naughty things you do and the twerk. By the way, seeing a guy, a queer person, twerk on fucking goddamn TV. Holy shit. What do you have to say about that? If you don't have anything, I have plenty to say about that.
Sunny Kiss is a one of a kind. As a person,
And he's a local. Oh
and
my
he
god.
is. He does. So I do the podcast for Capital Wrestling, and he is kind of our main attraction.
Hell yeah.
And it was as a person who's been watching wrestling for 22 years, and being obviously, if you couldn't tell, I'm black. A black gay man, like I would have never thought I would have saw that representation on the big screen, on the wrestling screen in the squared circle. So seeing Sunny Kiss when I first went to Capital Wrestling was like blew my mind to the point where like I've met everyone. I've slept with a couple. Never mind. I've met everyone.
Darnell is a hoe.
And he was the one person I felt super uncomfortable besides Daniel Bryan, where I felt like really nervous to meet because I was just like, you are someone that I would have never thought at 10 years old that I would see, because he's black, he's openly
That's
gay.
the first time you saw him when you were 10?
No. I'm saying
sorry.
like when I started watching wrestling, I was saying
okay,
it would have
sorry.
never
At
crossed
10
my
years
mind.
old, you wouldn't have had
Never
that
crossed my mind.
ability, right?
Him being, and he's unapologetically like feminine.
Yeah.
Which I love. Like he comes out in a crop top.
Yeah,
Like
he does. Oh
he comes
my
out like
God.
in cheerleading things. His boyfriend's also really hot.
Yes, he is. Oh my
Right, and that's the other thing is he's just so open and vocal
He's
about
so
having
open.
a boyfriend. It's not even a question.
Who's also a wrestler.
And,
like,
and by the way, his pronouns are he,
yes.
him. It's not she. Just because he has a more feminine sort of showing, if you will.
He's
with,
more
like,
fabulous than others.
He's more
Yeah.
fabulous, right? Because
Well
Sunny Kiss
said.
is more fabulous. He's not a she. Do not say, "Hey, girl,"
Yeah.
unless you're on that level with Sunny, and that's something I'll say. Like, do not assume people's
Exactly.
anything. That's
Because I will
rude.
kick your ass.
And he'll
With his ass.
he will kick your ass with his ass. He'll twerk all up on your face. I'm still googling Sunny for you. by
This is
the
the
way.
most important thing about Sunny too, I think, is that he's just a good guy. There's no like.
There you go. Oh, look at that
Let me see.
ass.
It's ridiculous. If you haven't,
I watched the
We're the
exercise routine with his butt muscle or
It's
whatever.
ridiculous.
It's amazing. I try to do it at the gym and like I start crying and stuff.
I've been trying to work my
Look at
ass,
that.
and
You
I
should be a
watch
member.
Sunny Kiss /
Oh,
Exolicious videos.
He needs to come to the mountain.
and I will never be there, but oh my god, thank you for giving me like goals, seriously. And also, you're a great wrestler. You do awesome moves. You do a great job of wrestling,
so athletic.
representing the
flips and stuff and like.
flips and splits and
Oh my
fucking
God.
doodads and shabooby dooies. I don't even know. Words I don't even know. Because even I remember the other night I was watching Lucha Underground and even the announcers were like, I don't even know what that fucking move is called. It was that good. So great job, Sunny, aka Exolicious.
Yay!
Yeah, hell
You are
yeah.
representing the queer community in an amazing way, and shout out to you. You keep on twerking in our faces because we need to see that. Woo! The other thing I wanted to talk about for this week, was Mike Paro's coming out as a gay wrestler. He did a documentary YouTube, which was done by Kenny Johnson. I thought it was really great. I thought it represented the gay community / wrestlers in the gay community very well. And it was also cool to see a different side of it. Instead of somebody that was openly out and okay with everything, it was nice to see like the other side. Like, what do wrestlers that, you know, have more of like a masculine exterior, what do they face as an openly queer wrestler? And I think it did a good job of expressing that. So
hopefully they face boners, lots and lots of boners.
well, he's the wrestler for Evolve. He's come a long way, and I definitely think that fuck what you heard. I think that documentary is something you should definitely watch and, you know, take into consideration. Do you have any thoughts on that, Darnell?
Yeah, I haven't seen the documentary.
Okay.
I really want to see it. I know Pero, obviously. I'm very curious about the relationship.
Wait, how well do you know?
Not nearly as much as I want to.
Did he come in your face?
I wish. Actually, I don't like that. Like,
You're not a bukkake?
Why are we wasting protein?
Fair. Oh.
Where should he come?
It's a fair remark.
Well, in your face meant in your mouth.
Oh,
in
okay.
your face.
Oh, in my
on
face.
your
I was
It
just
depends
like,
what you want, skincare or protein.
Listen, the glasses are for the initial jizz string, and then the mouth is for the rest.
Right.
Unless
You
you're
have
giving
to
me a
do
wet
some-
nap.
You
like,
have to do some work. You
Yeah.
have to follow it, like, a little bit.
I think it's great. I think it's a great story. I think it's coming out as a great story. I do sometimes wonder about the idea of, not the idea, because it's not like he's not real, but like sort of hyper-masculine men in wrestling kind of get a little bit more of the intention, and I don't like that.
As opposed to like a
As
Sunny.
opposed to Sonny or
Okay.
Ashton Starr or Billy Dixon or someone like Rick Cataldo. Rick ruffles feathers. He's been openly gay.
I like the feathers.
I
that
like
Rick
it. You know, he's been openly gay for 14 years. And
I give Rick a shout out on the last podcast for the LGBTQ wrestling.
And he's now a part of Capital Wrestling. All these plugs better get me something for fucking free.
Can we have at least like a sweat napkin? Like, Jesus Christ.
Or a jizz napkin. I'll take that either.
I meant that. I didn't.
But it's a great story. But it's also, I love to see that in a juxtaposition between someone like Billy Dixon, for example, to see the trials and tribulations that he goes through. Because even when I interviewed him for a podcast, and he talked very openly that like even he gets treated than someone like, for example, Effie, who I love Effie.
Right.
But there's a difference in the way that they're treated.
Effie gets treated with open arms, I feel like, because Effie has paved a way, and Effie has been like, this is who I am, and fuck you. And fair enough, but not every wrestler has, you know, encompassed that sort of fuck you abilities. So I definitely understand that.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Of course.
What do you think in terms of these queer wrestlers? Like, how much like are they working like their queerness into their performances?
Well, one thing I'll say is I like that for a wrestler, as an example, Sonny Kiss.
Does he do that?
No.
Okay.
The idea is like
He's just gay.
he's just who he is. Like, his moves are his moves.
Okay.
All, you know, in the indies and in, you know, on TV. And also his swagger is the same. He carries himself as an effeminate male and not a female. Do not call him queen. He is a fucking king. That's Sonny Kiss. So
Nice.
I would say to people, you know, check him out. He is a great queer wrestler, and you'll see, you know, glimpses of that queerness throughout his wrestling, but it's not something that necessarily needs to take the stage because it's not a gimmick. It's just who he is, and it's encompassed in the way that he moves his body within the ring.
Well said.
Yeah. It's a delight. Yeah, I agree. I do also. This is gonna be kind of shady.
No,
so I'm not gonna say names. I'm not gonna say names. No, but there are. I don't mind it when they do that. I also do like, and the one thing, like, not that I said anything negative towards Pero, but I do like that Pero makes a conscious decision to do documentaries, to talk about on his Twitter all the time about LGBTQ plus youth and like how important it is. There are other openly gay wrestlers who just use their fine ass bodies to be on the cover of DNA.
Okay.
So I wish they would actually
what's DNA?
Like, you know, a little gay bag. But I wish they would do more for the community instead of just being like, I'm gay, you should like me.
Right.
And I'm just like, but what have you done for me lately?
Right.
I agree with that
What
because,
have you
you know,
done
when you have that platform, especially if you're maybe
Use
coming
it.
from the United States, you realize in compass to the rest of the world, we enjoy a privilege that, you know, constantly needs to be reiterated as generations pass on, because we're not like computers, you know, you're automatically uploaded with this information. You have to pass that knowledge personally, face to face, or like now through technology somehow, to say, hey, we work for this, and you know, we kind of have the world stage, and we can allow other countries to sort of follow it without, you know, getting very hostile.
You're right. It can't be an American thing. It's like, listen, we have the queer thing established. Where's India? Where's Cuba? Where's Colombia? Where's Argentina?
Where are all the countries where, you know, in Saudi Arabia, women are just allowed to finally drive their vehicles.
Just allowed.
And, like, you have already backlash of, like, them making
And
videos the way guys are making videos with cars.
We just had a Saudi Arabia
And they're saying, hey, now they're going to take it away. It's just like, no, this is just showing you the double-edged sword that somebody likes to hold, you know. They have to own it because it's like, hey, we finally have this privilege, take advantage, but at the same time, put it in check, man. Don't just come out and say, I'm gay. Give me the attention. You say, hey, I'm gay. But hey, you guys,
I have a platform.
We got to work for it.
I have a reason. I have a thing. And that's more palatable to the American digest, unfortunately. But fine. Whatever we can do to stuff ourselves down their throats without being regurgitated first.
Absolutely.
Very true.
And the next segment that we have, so enough about wrestling. One thing I did want to talk about really super quick before I get into the actual next segment is just quick, check out Hannah Gadsby, Nanette on Netflix. It made me cry. If you are lesbian, queer, questioning, transgender, bisexual, gay, straight, whatever the fuck you are, it's really great stand-up comedy, and it's also something that I think that people will really take something from, especially if you are part of the lesbian community or if you're queer and have felt ostracized. She does a great job of representing what it means to be queer. And I don't know if any of you have watched it, but did you watch it? No. Nobody watched it?
No.
Hannah Gadsby.
That's on the top of my list.
I watched Luke Cage.
Yeah, suck my dick. She's great. Definitely watch it. And also, one other thing I want to talk about is at Brody Ray Music, one of the first transgendered acts to ever be featured on America's Got Talent. Super fucking cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Beautiful
BT
voice.
Dubs.
Epic
Beautiful voice.
Oh.
Beautiful human. Beautiful story. He has been transitioning for 8 years now. Fully transitioned. Absolutely beautiful voice. I literally was like,
from like a small ass like
I have the
state.
I have the chills just talking about it.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
a small
Nebraska or something like that.
I
One of
don't-
the
I
double
don't
take
know,
of
I
the like.
probably
Yeah.
I have the maybe I have the chance.
I was like, anyway, so Brody Ray Music, holler, you are hot, and your pants were dope. So. And your song was dope. So it was really cool to see on the main super pop culture stage a member of the trans community. So awesome job to you. You did a great job singing, and I hope you get worded through.
Yeah, and
because you were a fucking banger.
I was really disappointed that we couldn't get someone from the transgender community on the podcast tonight for representation during Pride Month. But
well, we didn't get a lot of people, and that's okay.
Yeah,
we didn't
absolutely.
get
Over time.
lesbian, we didn't get trans, we didn't get
pansexual.
Well, yeah, I feel like I'm a pansexual.
I think we've got pansexual covered.
All right, next segment is people's choice, which ever since I dabbled in the topic of fisting, I've gotten a lot of inquiries about how do I fist?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what I did is I searched the globe for a daddy and his sub that were willing to discuss fisting and also things regarding fisting. So I'd like to introduce Red Panda and Bruce Wayne.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Reintroduce. Obviously, you've been here the whole time, but
Yes,
you know, just in case you forgot their names. So people want to know about fisting. I believe A-Love is going to take this conversation because I'm not a fisting connoisseur. I've fisted once, never been fisted. Hashtag never been fisted. Kind of never been kissed. But if you did notice, my fit. Put your fist up to me.
Is it never been fisted
yet? Look at
yet?
that little teensy baby fist, right?
That is true.
Right?
That's pretty easy.
The duck is, you could take my fist.
Yeah, for sure, man.
You're like, that's fucking, that's an appetizer to fucking breakfast.
It's a good warm up.
So,
Yeah, that's a warm. My fist is a warm up. So if anybody needs a warm up fist, all right. So take it away, you guys. I don't know what the fuck to talk to you about because I've never really done this. I fisted one girl like partially, and she was, and that's it.
Was it anal or vaginal?
Vaginas are elastic. It was vaginal.
Okay.
Vaginas are elastic, so I don't have much to say. So you guys take it away. A-Love and our fisting connoisseurs.
So, okay, so in a multifaceted, so I really liked when we were talking about having you guys come on. You sound like a nice, great write-up about RBFF. So, like, I want to give you, like, a space to, like, talk about that, and like you know I really liked what it's about. You know, here at the Screw we like trying to support like super queer positivity and like positivity around sexuality in general, whatever you are on the gray scale. So tell us about, what does RBFF stand for?
Yeah.
So RBFF stands for Red and Bruce Fist Fucking.
So, I was like, what does that
mean?
Or fist fun,
attention.
depending
Fist
on
fun.
what you're
Or
into.
Fist fun.
Or fist fun.
Okay.
Very-
Fist stuff.
Yes.
It's an umbrella
Fisty
term.
cuffs of sorts.
Well, I mean, it's more recognized within the community. The
FF.
double capital Fs
Yes.
usually stands for, you
Felicia fucking Rose.
know.
Sorry. I knew that was the only time I'd be able to insert myself into this
So
conversation.
I just want to tell you briefly the whole
tell
reason
me,
why
what is RBFF?
we're here.
What does that mean to
So-
you guys?
I'm going to start off with a personal view. I used to work in the West Village area. This was back in the day when we didn't have Grindr, we didn't have smartphones or anything like that. We actually used the phone. And
So
we
you had
actually,
to meet people.
I had to
like,
meet people
in
either
real
through the
life
phone
and
lines
shit?
or if not, meet people like
Back alleys.
back alleys,
Hell yeah.
getting lunch somewhere online or anything like that. So being in the West Village area, I met a lot of guys, which was great. So in my early 20s, I met a lot of guys that introduced me to a lot of things. One of the things I was introduced to was fisting.
Okay.
And
Wait,
when
how old were you when this happened?
I was actually 23.
Okay.
when
So
it
you
was
were
first
young.
I was
You
young.
were
So like 3
fresh.
years
So what
When
it
did
was,
Can I ask you when you lost your virginity?
19.
Okay.
Okay.
So a fresh 4 years
Yeah, fresh 4
into
years.
slamming it down, backing up and then backing it up and dumping.
Yeah.
You started getting fist. Okay.
Well,
alright,
actually,
cool.
no. So what happened was, it was a party, and this particular party had different rooms, and each room had a particular scene. And one of the scenes was this guy, who was an older guy, very hot. He was in a sling, ready to, welcoming whoever wanted to come over.
To penetrate him. Okay.
But since he was in a sling, there was a lot of accoutrements, which was lubes and glove and all of that. So he basically told me what I needed to do, and I did it, and it turned me on big time. So
Was this your first time doing this?
it was my first time.
That's hot.
And what was great about it was that he kind of gave me instructions. He's like, okay, you're gonna take this, you're gonna do this, you're gonna go in slow, you're gonna
So
use
you
your
like
first.
someone dominating the situation.
Yeah, so he actually, even though he was in control and he was the bottom, the fact that he was just showing me and teaching me a lot, which was kind of hot.
So
in
I'm
itself.
that guy now.
I have
You're the-
I'm that guy now. The guy, I'm going out and I'm like.
Yeah, but I feel like you know. Do you know what you're doing? Do you know what to ask for? should
now
I
up to
say?
this point, like.
you know to be like how when did you get manicure class?
Yeah, so like
Let me
Yeah.
see your
that's
cuticles,
the whole process that
motherfucker.
Bruce
Yeah.
has showed me ever since like we started engaging in this activity, and I wanted to know more about it.
Mm-hmm.
But being as young as I am, I didn't want to hurt myself or harm myself in a manner that could be very disastrous.
You mean taking the fist?
No, like, you know, there are accidents that can happen in the means of fisting, you know, but so you don't want that.
No, but can I ask you, are you a taker or a giver?
Oh, I'm a taker. Like,
oh, right. So, like, while getting fisted, you have to be careful of things like
sharp nails, you know,
cuticles,
internal damage, and also the pace that they're going at with you, because
they can do some damage.
It could be damage that leaves you uncomfortable for a couple hours afterwards, or maybe even a day, and to the point where it's just like, okay, it depends on how sensitive you are. But
wait, have you ever been damaged beyond like a day? Have you ever had like internal nerve damage?
No, not internal nerve damage, but you know, you always want to avoid those situations. So you want to find someone who's not very jittery to like just jump into it, but it's just like trying to break down the process and understand that, you know, you're going to encompass something that's a little bit more far-fetched than what
you use safe words?
Of course,
yes.
Yeah, definitely,
absolutely.
Can I ask 2 questions?
Sure.
Yeah. I'm just very curious. One, have you? So I figured you and Batman. Did it?
That's fine.
Hello.
Batman.
Did it? You did it together for the first time.
Yes.
For you.
So
was that something that you had wanted to do fisting before?
Yes, I had pursued fisting, and only because I was kind of going through dildos, and what I mean by that is like you upgrade. I finally upgraded to this nice big black dildo, and I was home alone. You know, I had some lube.
I mean, if you want to take me out tonight, I get it.
I squatted and I slipped on the lube that was on the floor, and I realized, holy shit, the whole thing is in.
Yeah.
And what do I do? So I slowly came out of it, and I was like, whoa, that was really hot. I felt good, because it kind of took me a while to get off of it. So I kept pushing back down and coming back up, because I was really scared of what exactly was going to happen in terms of like the feeling.
Across the fucking
I mean, of course. But then when I realized the huge dildo that I had, I was like, this is bigger than like 2 hands. So I started looking up a little bit more intense porn. And then I was like, oh, there's a whole community on it. So
did you ever fist yourself?
No, I've had a couple guys get 4 fingers in, but I never got to the 5th finger.
You're like, because 4 fingers? That's nothing. The 4 fingers challenge.
Wait, can I ask you a question? Because forever I've been taught like this is the entrance way into. Is this right?
Yes, this is the duck bill.
All right, we
compared
do
to
duck.
What though? What else?
Compared to entering like this.
Oh, I literally would have figured it would have been like.
No, you gotta do duck.
Like One Punch
and then
Man.
once you're in, you need to slowly open.
What's your second question?
Wait, thumb inside or? Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, you had too.
No, as a person who like doesn't like, we've talked about this beforehand. I don't particularly care for sexual intercourse. Like I'll do it. Like sure, put your dick in me. But like,
put your dick in me.
I'm just so curious about like how you figure out the mechanics around it, like so that you don't get damaged.
What
like
do you mean
how
by
do you
mechanics?
Manicures.
No, I mean how far, because I feel like you go so far up.
All right, so
like
how do you tell us everything?
How do you know what a
navigate? You want to take
navigate? Step 1.
All right.
What do we do? Get a manicure.
Here's the thing. Here's a couple of rules.
Okay.
Yeah.
But before we get into the whole logistics,
tell us.
It's all about the mental stimulation.
Okay.
And you have to be in that frame of mind.
Have a shot.
To have a shot. Do
Can
whatever
I ask
you
a
need.
question?
Do whatever you need. Yes.
Have you ever taken a fist?
No. So let me just tell you quickly.
But you were a fist giver.
Yes.
Okay, I just want people to understand what we're working
By the
with.
way,
Okay.
that's totally okay. You know,
Totally.
some of us totally look for tops. You know, me and my friend go out and we're like, hey, do you have lube? Are you a top? Wait, are you a total top?
Oh no,
You
no,
know,
yeah.
total
Like
tops.
I'm a top 90% of the time.
Nice.
And
So-
then 10%. Anyways, go on.
So here's the thing with fisting. First of all, there's no accidents in fisting. It's
Yeah.
you gotta. It is what it is. If you want it, then you have to stand up for it. 50% of the fisting is wanting it, and 50% is actually taking it. So if you're not mentally ready for it, don't do it, because
like
you're not
right now.
you're not gonna be able to reach
relaxing.
that capacity
Right.
where it becomes pleasurable. For men, because we have prostates, we have that ability to get that stimulation through our prostate, which can lead to great anal orgasms, where literally it's better than like jerking off like intensely, because you're actually feeling a lot more internally than you would if you would just whack off or have someone suck your dick.
Can I interject for 1 second?
Yeah.
I haven't been fisted, but I fisted a woman, and it was sort of the same in that intimacy way.
Yeah.
So although we don't prove a P-spot, it is like an intimate act where, and it's also easier because it's elastic. So I just want to say one thing about fisting a female. I've never been fisted, but I've done a little. Because look at how, put your hand up to mine. Look at how tiny my fists are. Yeah, I could do double duck. Okay, back on the floor.
So there's many ways to get that stimulation going, whether it be your traditional couple of fingers in, if you want to put all your fingers in. There's certain levels where you can actually experience a lot of pleasure. You can do the regular fingers, couple of fingers, your whole fist, and then once you're inside the cavity, the first anal cavity.
Wait, there's more than one.
You're gonna have to explain that.
Wait. Tell us how to get past it. All right, so we got 2 fingers in, right?
So your first pass is the rectum.
I feel like this is like Bill Nye. Like I'm learning so much shit.
So think of it as those sonic rings. It just keeps going.
That is the perfect way to describe that for me.
You gotta
say it again.
So
Say it in the
I'm in
camera.
Emerald
Sonic
City.
You really gotta
say
get
you
through
have
those
a
sonic
universe
rings,
inside
you know?
All right, it's like Rainbow Road in Mario Kart.
Yes, the best level.
So
the
your first goal is to actually get your fist or hand through the rectum and into the anal cavity.
How do you know that you're through the rectum?
You're up.
Well, because you feel it, because there's another barrier where you can actually feel the beginning of another hole or pathway, because that will be your technically what we call your second hole. That actually goes through
kind of like a vaginal wall and the uterus. Once you're past the uterus, you can feel it. Just trying to relate to the woman out there that
my biology teacher did not teach me.
Well, they don't have a gay agenda, so
they don't have a gay agenda.
You
correct.
only have one bum and no rectum. Yeah.
So here's the thing, though. Not everyone is created the same.
Okay.
Internally,
all butts
are different.
So like snowflakes.
Like snowflakes, but also internally, your anal cavity and your colon, they're not the same.
Right.
Some of them, their second hole goes up. Some of them, second holes go down.
Okay.
So you have to kind of assess what you're doing, because you don't want to cause harm.
Destruction.
Yeah. And then once you have that ability that bottom wants to take it, and then you're actually going in, you also have to stimulate that person's mind. You have to stimulate that person physically. So I'm actually more of a passionate fister. I actually like to ask questions. I like to know how you're doing. I like to know, does this feel good? Because if they respond positively,
can you give us
Oh
a
my
God.
So
can you pretend your fist is inside of me right now? Be like,
oh my God.
Baby, how do you feel?
No, not even baby. Like since I'm Latino, so I'm more like, papi, how's this feeling? Or,
One time
Yeah,
we're
call me
just
Papi. Call me Papi.
that.
It's fine. No,
There's also
you
like-
guys are both.
Well, here's the thing.
there's
Here's the
also
thing.
like a lot of like fisting
So
jokes.
I
that
get
go
excited.
on.
I get excited when I fist. So like, since I'm older, things work a little slower than others. But when I'm actually fisting somebody, and if they're enjoying it, I get hard. I get like, that really turns me on, because it's more of, you're kind of having this moment with your bottom that is kind of
That's very
unique.
special.
And they're literally and physically, literally opening themselves to you.
They're putty in your hands or on your hands.
Yeah, and then when they are comfortable with you, that's when they tell you, all of a sudden the bottom becomes the person taking control of the situation. So then they'll say more, or then they'll say stop, or they'll say go faster, or if not, shake it faster. I've had a lot of bottoms that, as soon as I put my fist in, without going through the second cavity, if I shake my hand a certain way, I can get them stimulated and they can come pretty quickly. Immediately.
really confused about one thing. I know. Oh my God, you came so quick.
I'm 11. I'm an 11.
I don't know much about. I'm fascinated about fetishes in general, just because I'm like kind of like do your own thing. Like there are certain things I like. I'm just like yes, be my wrestler. But there's certain things I enjoy. But like, what the sensation of like, I'm so sorry for like asking all this.
No, please. That's what the show is for.
When you said you shake it, you shake your like. What is the motion that you're doing inside?
So here is
it's like
my
jiggling
fist.
chain.
It's like jiggling. So like if I'm in, I may be in, and then I may go like
this
this.
motherfucker
So I'm not gonna lie,
said
my favorite one is
change.
this.
I'm
This is
dead.
my favorite one,
Oh.
like where they have the thumb out like
That's
this.
like that's in sign language.
Like that's
Wait,
in.
can I
I'm
talk
smart.
about this
In,
for a
like-
second?
I was
though?
gonna ask about this.
The contrast of like your nails, which are totally not fisting friendly, versus your nails. Give me
Well, this
that,
hand
like-
is I think a little
Oh
bit
my!
more.
Oh my God!
You gotta be
got
ready.
those
Like, sorry.
I think this
Do you
one's a
have?
little
Do
bit
I have
more.
consent to lick your finger? Or did I
Do you orgasm a lot, like without like being touched through fisting?
Yeah, there are very intense feelings to the point where like I end up peeing on myself.
Oh.
It's,
Yeah.
one of
Well,
those.
it happens.
And
Which
it's not
is,
even that it
which
happens.
is a
it's
shout
like,
out to the last episode. Pissing during sex is a normal activity. Female
Yeah.
and or
Yes.
male, do not be ashamed.
I'm not gonna lie,
by
even
the
though-
way.
even-
Sorry.
Invest in rubber sheets.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hell
It's like
yeah.
at
Or
some
multiple.
point, I really kind of strive for it. Like it's just an
laundry
amazing sensation of like getting fisted and peeing at the same time.
Oh.
It's
Would you
just
let
like,
a woman
holy-
fist you?
Yes, definitely. It's something.
Have you ever had a woman fist you?
No, but
Would you
have
let
you ever been with a
my
woman?
baby fist you?
yes, yes.
All right, we'll be back on the next episode.
Hey,
I have my lube with me.
question though, because like this is
No,
Oh,
we need to
no.
get you a manicure.
Oh no, no, we'll get to that. Question though, is the thumb in or out? I know you have this little
It's tough.
trick finger thing, but in general, what is the rule
You
of
tuck
thumb?
If you are starting, you want to
tuck it.
kind of put everything in.
Okay.
But once you assess or you have a bottom that has been around,
Opened a little.
has been opened already,
Okay.
then you start trying different tricks.
But you're never like you're not like doing the like single leg.
You can.
You
I've
can.
had a guy go single lady, and I'm like going crazy. I'm like,
It was good.
It was amazing.
Well, you know what? You should have put a ring on it, honey.
Beyonce.
But you know what's really interesting after
Yes.
getting fisted?
Yes.
Yes. Tell us.
Getting
what's really-
fucked by regular dick
Oh,
is
it
like
means
a
nothing.
whole new world. It's
Yeah.
a whole new world. Like
Yes,
I thought it was
Jasmine.
just like, oh, I'm done for. I'm this big glazed donut now. I was like, fuck. But then when I went out to get fucked, I was like, holy shit, it feels like I'm a virgin again. Like I
Really?
couldn't.
It's because you're
I
extra
couldn't
sensitive.
seem to
You're extra
contain
sensitive.
anything. Like I was like moving the way I was like running
Yeah.
away
So-
from
so-
dick before.
So it's,
and you have to
it's
grab
your
me, and I
nerve
was like,
endings.
Your
Your
nerve
nerve
endings.
endings.
You have a lot.
I'll
your,
say this,
your
for
internal,
men and women, your nerve endings, if they're not stimulated on a regular basis, they can kind of go dull.
big time. Use it or lose it.
Yes, and I know a lot of girls who like
I need to
lost
have
their
more
virginity,
anal
had
sex.
some sex. Me too.
I'm the worst
baby,
at it.
Baby boy, me
Let
too.
me just suck your dick
it's
for like
because
6
I'm
hours.
so not
Okay.
into showering.
So let me just let's is there anything else you would like to say?
yeah,
I mean,
on
like
behalf of
yeah.
Fisting.
So one of the things that there's different variations of fisting and ass play and pleasure on you getting. Like,
Absolutely.
I've had
Spectrum.
guys that I've met that are curious. I've had tops that are like, nah, I'm not into that bullshit. And next thing you know, I have my hand
Inside
in their
them.
ass.
Yeah.
A couple of my
I
clients.
feel like that's gonna be me, but
a couple
Yeah.
of my clients are actually. I have 3 straight men that are one married.
Clients. It's
Yeah.
like a business.
And well, it's
It's
not
not a
business.
business.
It's more like
service. No.
Wait, you have
like
three
a- hi, I'm your
blind
neighbor.
men.
Hi, Spider-Man.
Well, we
You
like
have
to joke
3
about it.
straight men, like 3 blind men.
And they're
like
getting
3
fisted?
straight, and they come
See
over because
how
they
we
like to get
fist.
fisted.
See how we fist.
Well, we like to joke about it and call it the learning annex.
It's the learning
because-
annex, basically.
Okay.
Yes.
Isn't that sad though?
The learning
Like,
So,
like-
Why?
by the
well,
way,
I mean, no, wait. Stop. That's probably looking through. I hope they do it with like older partners.
So look,
though.
here's the thing.
and not just doing it on the
Well,
side. That's what
wait,
I'm
wait.
saying.
Well, you want to know one of the things that I've come to realize as a 22-year-old in this
Oh, yes.
fast-paced
So old
like
and-
like fucking technology, and then hanging out with older people, I'm just like, yo, this whole love shit is on a huge spectrum. And sometimes you might be stuck in a relationship and you can't control your feelings towards other people. So it's not that you keep it on the low; it's just that you put a lid on it and you let it play out. Because if you deny yourself that, you're kind of denying yourself some happiness
Correct.
or some pleasure.
Correct.
You want to just let it,
Pro
you know,
pleasure.
you try to allow it to
Permeate.
reach certain boundaries, and when you cross them, as an adult and as somebody who carries free will, you gotta accept that responsibility. You gotta face the consequences later on and be like, hey, you know, I did fuck up. I did it with intention. I did it with this because I was enjoying myself.
I fisted you with a hangnail on purpose.
I've had people come because, say, their lover has, you know, they're going through chemo and their sexual appetite is not the same as it used to be.
It's a huge...
And they're trying to find a different outlet. They want to find a place where they can be safe, they can, you know, dabble, they can express themselves sexually, have
That's
a good
beautiful.
time, and then go back to their regular lives.
That's
Just
beautiful.
like
Sex is great.
yeah,
Thank you.
It is.
It is.
To all the workers out there that are sex workers and or just people that maybe exchanged knowledge, thank you. It is Pride Month, so I do want to say thank you to everybody that is a sex worker that has put themselves on the line, whether you are teaching somebody how to fist or you're having sex with somebody for money. Whatever you're doing out there, I just want to say it's Pride Month and good for you. And fuck Backpage for getting shut down.
Oh, no.
And if you need to sell your nudes,
And Craigslist.
holler at me. I will do my best to pimp your nudes out. Send me the nipple blurred version. We'll go from there.
So just to wrap up, is there any? I mean, obviously, if anybody has any questions about this topic, you can hit.
They can go to rbffinformation@gmail.com. So we're in the process of just, you know, sort of organizing our content, trying to figure out what we can do as a platform,
Excellent.
given that we have the internet to sort of create a web page and allow people to chime in and, you know, maybe even like want to even participate. Because for
Host parties and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually do.
I would love
We
to
actually
see
do.
you
Really?
fist him.
Yes.
Oh my god, can I watch you fist him as
Sure.
like a
it's
thing?
it's all about demonstration and learning and being hands-on.
Awesome.
Because honestly, I'd like to learn how to fist
So, you
properly.
know-
I've only fisted one time.
rbffinformation@gmail.com.
So for any questions, concerns, feedback,
Suggestions.
or you could go to Felicia Much Obliged TV. You can email either of the two of us. So if you don't want
Yeah.
to send them a direct question, you
And
want it to be
and I just want to mention we have no judgment. It's a safe place. We welcome anyone. We welcome couples. We welcome same-sex couples or male-female couples, because there are a lot of people that really want to be able to try the next level of sexual pleasure that it's considered taboo. I don't think fisting should be in that category that's a fetish. It's now what someone's into. I've met a lot of guys in their late teens and early 20s that are completely into that. When I was growing up, it was never like that. So I never really had an opportunity to really do a lot of fisting play when I was in my early 20s. I'm happy to say that I can do it now with people that are in their 20s that they just want it because they enjoy it. They love the pleasure of it, and I love doing it, and it's very cool.
well, I just want to say, I'm sorry, I
no, go
interrupted
ahead.
you. I just want to say thank you guys for talking about fisting. I'm sure we'll have some follow-up responses, questions. Maybe we can have you guys back on again.
And definitely
Maybe
email
we
us.
could do like an after-hours little demonstration. I don't know. That might be something available through our Patreon at some point. I think I just hit you. No, I didn't. Okay.
You can hit me.
But thank you guys so much for coming on and
Thank
coming
you
on
for
and
having
explaining
us.
that.
Thank
Thank you for Darnell for coming on and talking about wrestling. We have a last segment, which is our bonus segment. And if you're lucky enough to be able to view it and or listen to it, it's going to be a little Never Have I Ever. So does everybody have some alcohol inside of their cup? Because
I
you
need
will be
more.
taking
Yeah.
shots.
Alcohol.
Yeah.
All right, pour up your cups, everybody.
No more Diet Coke.
Lord.
Oh no,
It's
we
okay.
we have
Yes.
that. No, we don't.
That's okay.
I got you. Is that
I'm a
good?
big boy now.
Is that good?
I have Sprite. Do you want some Sprite?
Oh my god, this is getting.
Do you want some Sprite? We have orange juice and we have
Thank you.
water.
Oh my god.
Well, you might have to do 5 shots. You need more than that.
Oh Jesus.
Do you want this?
I'm gonna. You know what?
Are you
I'm gonna take it.
are you
no.
assuming I'm vanilla or not vanilla?
Vanilla in terms of what? Flavor?
Well, like in terms.
I'm chocolate. Because I said so.
I'm caramel
right.
macchiato. Sorry.
Okay.
All right, so for our last segment, which is our bonus/boner segment, we have a quick little game of Never Have I Ever. I asked everybody to fill up their cups because we're going to be taking shots. So for whoever puts down a finger, so if you've done it before, you will be taking a shot. And if you don't have enough in your cup,
Should we start our hands like this?
yes. The theme of the week is safe
Or
fisting.
you can just go like this.
Right.
First step is safe fisting is get a manicure. Second step is asking for permission. All right. So never have I ever. I'll start. Never have I ever fisted a boy. If you fisted a boy, put a finger down.
Okay, I'm gonna put my thumb down.
Oh.
Aaron,
Start with my thumb. Yep.
Bruce, you put a
well, not him. A couple
no
other
red
guys.
panda. Okay.
No, fisted. Right?
You said, have I ever fisted
I
something?
never have I ever fisted somebody. Have
Right.
you fisted somebody?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Red Panda has
I am not.
no Darnell and
There's
A-Love
always
out. All right, cool.
There's still time.
We have to remember this is iTunes friendly too, so we have to kind of tell people what we're doing. All right, next, Aaron. I mean,
Oh,
A-Love.
shit.
Fuck yeah.
Never have I ever pissed in an asshole. Oh, shoot. Wait, I fucked that up. You're supposed to do something you have to
You're supposed to drink.
Too
right?
late.
Shit.
Oh, yeah, you are
Well,
supposed
that's
to.
okay.
All right,
But
well,
you drank.
pretend like
But
you
you did it,
haven't.
so you
Alright.
have to drink.
Hey, I'm gonna be so wasted after this segment. Okay.
I like how you put one. Okay. Darnell.
I'm gonna call myself out on this, and that's fine, because I'm just curious about other people. Never have I ever had sex in a park.
Oh, shit.
Especially in the summer.
That's the best time to do it.
I like that qualifier.
Bruce Wayne.
You're like, oh my god, musty
I
balls.
used to do it in the piers back in the day.
Red Panda
That was
too.
the original grinder.
I'm done.
Yeah.
The park was the
Hell-
original.
hell
drug.
yes.
Hell
Oh yeah. That was your social media.
Pretty much. Interstate 90
True.
off the Mass Turnpike. I'm just
AOL chat.
I used to
Gay.com
I used
chat.
to drive to New York City with Aaron, and every rest stop we'd stop at, and it wasn't fun for me because guys don't touch you in the rest stops. They only touch the guys.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Next.
Bruce.
Never have I ever fucked someone with my foot.
Oh.
Jesus Christ.
I
Oh
gotta
my
take a
god,
shot.
you're a little slut.
Oh my.
I fucked someone with my foot. I
He's,
fucked
he's,
myself
oh
with
my god,
foot.
you're both, oh my
I
god.
don't have. I'm in
I'm
danger
not
of going out.
nearly as
Wait, you're
outgoing
both.
as
Oh
I
my
thought.
god.
Red Panda. We're only doing it to 5, by the way.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow,
I'm
you only have.
awful.
No, it's beautiful. you have a lot yet to experience.
Apparently.
Never have I ever gotten fucked on public transportation.
Oh, yeah.
Oh Jesus Christ.
You lost.
I lost. I just lost.
You
Shit.
all 5?
Yeah.
Well, there was
You
points
too.
before.
You too.
No,
You
there's
lost.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I lost. I lost too.
Oh.
You can't get yourself out.
Okay. Right. So how many do you have left? Come on.
3. I have 3 left.
And you have 2.
I have 2. Never have I ever sucked a cock outside of the. I mean, anywhere but a street and my house.
Wait.
Anywhere but a street in your house.
Right.
the street and my bedroom. I've only sucked it
Wait.
there.
So you sucked a cock in the street and you sucked a cock in your bedroom.
And everywhere else I haven't. So never have I ever sucked.
Oh, well, I mean,
no.
I don't
Okay,
even
that's
know what
me.
to do with
I
that.
literally,
Are you guys starting over? I like it.
Like I'm just here.
Whatever.
I walk around like doing this. I'm waiting for the best.
Okay, so you have 2.
I have 2.
And you have. What do you have? You
I
have
have
2.
2. I'm doing
Come on, get
gnarly
one.
fine.
But I've done
Do I
it.
have one?
But it's funny.
No, you
Never.
have 0. You're done.
No, you can't have done it.
I know, but I had to.
You're
Something
ready.
I've
You're
done.
in the ready
I've
position.
never. Have I?
What's
Oh, I
something
totally
a girl's
have.
done? Come on,
Well,
you
say
guys,
it
it's
anyways.
easy to
Both
get
go
me out.
down.
Hello.
Oh my god, it's so
I
horrible. I
feel
don't
like
even want to admit it.
What?
You know what? Never have I ever, because I've totally done it. But it's okay. Had sex at a sex club with multiple people.
What?
All the time. Oh, well, every other Saturday, I hope.
You take a shot. Hello, you're out.
Have you not done that?
Red Panda's out.
You not done that?
Sorry, guys.
No, not yet. Yo, Jorgito.
Okay, one left. Okay.
There's this place in London I need to tell you about. It's
Oh,
amazing.
There's a
where
place in
London?
Paris I need to
The
tell
Vault.
The vault.
You know it.
In the
All right,
basement.
who's next?
Yes.
You're next.
Dicks galore.
You're still out.
Never.
Do something feminine. Hello. You
Anything.
guys, it's easy.
You're at 1.
I'm at
Never
2.
have ever had a period.
I have an eye.
Wait. Never have
It was an exclamation point.
Wait. I got one. Never have I ever been fucked in a hotel room in New Orleans on my period.
Oh, I was about to say, you were good up to a certain point.
Remember that time when we had like
but if you were bleeding,
all
does
over,
it
and
still
they
count?
called me and they were like, "Is somebody alive?"
There was like an
"We're
accident
alive."
scene. They were gonna charge your credit card.
Like
it was like
whatever.
Carrie?
It was hot. Yeah.
Oh my
Okay.
god.
All right.
Because I didn't know I had my period. And
So,
Aaron
can't
was
even do
sleeping during it. And I was getting fucked after I rode home on his motorcycle in this hotel room. And then all of a sudden I turned the lights in the morning to like gather my
To see the aftermath.
shit. No, I didn't care about that. And there was just blood streaks on the, yeah.
Wow.
All right, never have I ever, Aaron.
Never have I ever.
I had one left.
I thought everyone was out.
Never have I ever been part of an orgy.
I'm gone.
All right, bye.
Bye. You're like, when? Tuesday?
So
All right, everybody.
Just to wrap up.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Screw Season 2, Episode 2 on Much Obliged TV. Thank you guys so much to my guest, Bruce Wayne.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Red Panda.
Thanks.
Our fisting connoisseur. I love my co-host. And Darnell Licious, aka Darnell Mitchell. Thank you so much for being here. I slept you like 22 times. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll be here in a couple weeks with stuff about my titties.
Yeah, we just want to, just before we go, if there's any other, since it's Pride Month, if there's any other organizations that you guys want to like give a shout out to, I just want to give a quick shout out to Song, otherwise known as Southerners on New Ground. You can catch them at southerners-on-newground.org. They're known for one of these great organization things, the Black Mamas Bailout. Which is a great organization to get black women out of jail and raise bailout dollars for them. So donate, support, agitate. Their slogan is building a political home across race, class, culture, gender, and sexuality. Just the last one, I urge you to support actupnewyork.org. Their AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power is what they stand for. ACT UP is a diverse, nonpartisan group of individuals united in anger and committed to direct action to end the AIDS crisis. They advise and inform, they demonstrate, and they are not silent.
And they've been around since the goddamn 80s, so join that shit.
Is there anybody else you guys would like to call out before we go?
I just want to say thank you again, both of you, for having us. I just want to give a special shout out to my city in Yonkers. We just recently had our first Yonkers Pride.
Oh yeah!
That was awesome. I want to give a special shout out to all the people who helped organize and raise money, and we did a lot of hard work, and I think it should be recognized, and we're going to have an even better one next year. I also want to give a shout out to Red Panda for making this happen for us. And again,
good boy.
And don't forget, any emails or questions, we're no judgment. RBFFinformation@gmail.com.
Excellent.
Again, RBFFinformation@gmail.com.
Or Much Obliged TV. Feel free to hit us up directly if you are not comfortable hitting them up directly. Darnell.
I want to give a shout out to the Married Marks podcast.
Hell
It's
yeah.
my friend Shannon and Richard. This entire month they've done a Pride Month. They've had some great people on the podcast, so I want to give them a shout out, a personal shout out to the Queer Nerd, because you should listen to that podcast too. Because it's only LGBTQ plus people who I interview, and women and people of color. And I want to give a shout out to FX, because as much as we talk about, like, as we were talking about history, as a wrestling fan, all wrestlers, please, you need to know your gay history, because you have no idea how much drag and wrestling are intertwined.
Absolutely.
It's literally the same fucking thing. So every single wrestler should be watching Paris is Burning. And if you haven't seen that, it's free on YouTube. If you haven't seen that, FX has a great new show out about houses and about the drag culture called Pose. So please, I believe there are 2 episodes out now. Please make sure you get that. It is fantastic, and it is great for everyone in the world, and also great for wrestlers. You need to watch it, because y'all need to get better with your outfits.
No,
only
I
shout
want
out.
to say a shout out to Robin Oakes. Per usual, Robin Oakes, you have helped me through bisexuality and understanding what bisexuality really means to me as a female and or a male. You have a couple books out. You are doing a great job in the LGBTQ plus community. And I met you, 9 years ago with Aaron, and you have done nothing but shown us what bisexuality truly means and what it means to stand up for yourself. So if you don't know who Robin Oakes is, check her out. She is a bisexual activist.
OCHS.
Yes. ROBYNOCHS. And check her out. She's a great advocate for the bisexual community. And I know that there's a lot of people out there. Shout out to my girls who came out this month for Pride Month. My bisexual girls. Shout out at Tehana. Also, all my other girls. And definitely check her out. She definitely has a lot to say. And I feel like she's done a good job of encompassing the bisexual voice over the course of the last generation. So
hell yeah.
Anybody for you to shout out?
No.
Oh.
I mean,
Start. No. We don't see it though.
I was just gonna shout out
Panda.
Oh yes.
I want to shout out one of the few role models I've recently had in my life. They're called the Illustrious Blacks. So the Illustrious Blacks is made up of Monster Black and Manchild Black. So they're both black men who are really deep into the techno music scene.
Hell yeah.
And I've recently gone to a lot of their shows out in Output, at the Dixon Place. They do really awesome stuff for the LGBT community, and I feel like they're at the forefront. They recently played at one of the summer concerts here for on Sunday for the LGBT Pride Parade in Central Park. So
Sweet.
I want to give them a big shout out for being
yeah.
those role models for me. So
Hell yeah. Any queer and or questioning activists and or artists, congratulations to you guys. Thank you guys for coming out and being a member of our community.
And remember to resist.
well, also big shout out to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Hell yeah!
For winning NY14.
Yes.
She won the primaries. Remember, you guys still
Fuck
got to
yeah.
vote in November.
Yes.
So also
Don't
watch out
forget.
for Cynthia Nixon for senator.
Hell
so,
yeah.
Yes.
Go Miranda. Side note on that.
Yes,
We
Miranda.
need to figure out. Yes, Miranda. Totally Miranda. A little bit Samantha. We also need to stop people on the left, get your shit together. Women of color have been dominating everything
Fuck
forever.
yes.
So start fucking voting
Step
for them.
up to the
yeah.
plate.
Women of color started the Me Too movement. Women of color started Black
Yes.
Lives Matter. Women of color start every motherfucking thing. So
Yes.
let's
Fuck yes.
vote for them
Yes.
because the future is female and that bitch is tinted. So
NY14.
absolutely.
And not just tan
Congratulations.
because she went on her roof.
No, because she's ethnic.
Because she's ethnic. Thank
She's
you,
a first
Mama.
generation
Yes.
Puerto
Yes.
Rican
I
woman.
know, it's
From
so
the
amazing.
Bronx.
From the BX.
From the
Yes.
Bronx.
Yes.
And a couple blocks from here also represents Queens.
Yes.
Hell
Fuck
yeah.
yes.
So thank
My
you
neighborhood.
guys for everything that you guys
Yeah,
brought to the
please.
table today.
Thank you.
Thank you
guys
for having
Woo!
us.
Shout out.
Thank you.
This was an awesome episode. We're gonna do continuous Pride episodes so that you guys get a taste of the queer voices that we have in New York City. Obviously, because we have two queer bows running this show, we decided to go ahead and make this an ongoing thing. So, if you are queer or questioning in the New York City area,
Slide
Feel
into
free to-
us.
Slide in.
I mean, slide into our DMs.
yeah.
That's a little.
Holler, because we'll definitely consider putting you on the show if you would like that. My name is Felicia Rose.
Hey, love.
I'm Darnell.
Red Panda.
Bruce Wayne.
Follow DNLicious,
Delicious.
Continue 78,
I
or
don't know.
The People's Trainer / Felicia Rose on fucking everything.
RBFF.
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 Website
R,
coming soon.
B, R as in rubber, B as in boy, F as in Felicia, F as in Felicia. Not A-U-R. I thought it was A.
RBFF
I mean, not
information.
A-O-U-R. What the fuck? Alright, thanks guys for tuning in. I'm sorry that we went a little bit over what we planned
Enjoy
to.
it. Jerk off to it. Whatever.
Pride episode, first Pride episode 2018. I love you all. Titties and pee-pee and fisting for life.
Fist away.
Fist away.
Fist away.
Yes.
Everybody put your fists up.
Yeah.
Thank you to everybody.
Oh, that's how you do it.
Thank you to Much Obliged TV for continuing to put on this ridiculous show. Natty and Jorge, what up?
Antonio, Maria.
Antonio,
Thank
your
you,
shirt's
guys.
on. What's
Who's
the
Antonio?
problem?
All right. And we're wrapping it up. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.